The neon glow of Las Vegas once promised endless nights, cheap thrills, and the chance that one lucky spin could change a life forever. But in 2025, that same glow feels dimmer, colder, almost like a cruel reminder of what the city used to be. The strip, once packed with tourists from every corner of the world, now echoes with silence. Casinos are shutting down, 4,300 jobs have vanished in just 1 month, and the very workers who once kept this city alive are being forced out of their homes, many left to sleep in tents just steps away from million-dollar roulette tables. What was once billed as America's playground is now turning into a cautionary tale of broken promises and economic collapse. Behind the glittering billboards and fading jackpots lies a nightmare spiral that is pulling down everyone it touches. Tourists, business owners, and especially the working class who can no longer afford even the basics of survival. The city that built itself on dreams is now erasing them in real time. Is this simply the fall of Vegas? Or is it the beginning of something far darker for America itself? Tonight, we step inside the shadows of Sin City to uncover how empty casinos, mass layoffs, and a rising homeless crisis are rewriting the future of Las Vegas, and why its downfall may be a warning for the entire nation. For decades, tourism has been the beating heart of Las Vegas, pumping billions of dollars into casinos, hotels, and restaurants. But in 2025, the heart is faltering. According to Harry Reid International Airport data, reported to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority (LVCVA), nearly 1 million flights bound for Vegas were canceled in just 2 months. That staggering figure represents more than missed vacations. It signals the unraveling of a system that relied on a constant flow of visitors to survive. Even more alarming is the drop in Canadian tourists, down almost 20% a blow, made worse by the fact that Canada has historically accounted for 1/5 of Vegas's international traffic. The causes are layered like a domino line that never stops falling. Rising visa restrictions, fluctuating border tariffs, and the steady climb of airfare costs have created barriers that make traveling to America's playground less appealing. But the real knife twist comes from the city itself. Tourists feel they've been bled dry by hidden costs, resort fees, parking charges, overpriced meals, and markups on everything from bottled water to show tickets. The city that once sold itself as affordable indulgence now feels more like a trap designed to squeeze wallets at every turn. Adding fuel to the fire is the strategy of Vegas's biggest casino CEOs, who have doubled down on whale hunting, focusing on the ultra-wealthy, the top 20% of guests who generate nearly 80% of profits. In doing so, they've alienated the very middle-class visitors who built Vegas's legend. Families from the Midwest bachelor parties and everyday gamblers once flocked to the Strip for cheap buffets and loose slots. Now, they feel unwelcome in a city catering only to billionaires and high rollers. The fallout has been swift. Desperate to win back business, hotels across the Strip have slashed rates by 25% to 50%, even waiving the once untouchable resort fees that had infuriated travelers for years. Yet the discounts have barely moved the needle. Empty airplane seats remain unsold, hotel towers sit dark at night, and casino floors once buzzing with life echo with an eerie stillness. Tourists may accept higher prices in other cities, but once trust is broken, it rarely returns. The tragedy is that while visitors can always choose alternative destinations, Los Angeles, Miami, Mexico, or even Dubai, Vegas cannot simply pick up and move. Its entire economy is chained to tourism, and when that lifeblood drains away, the city has nothing left to replace it. The so-called entertainment capital of the world is learning a harsh lesson. When the dream fades for the customer, the entire machine grinds to a halt. When the tourists stopped coming, the silence on the casino floors quickly spread to the break rooms, locker areas, and time clocks of Las Vegas's massive workforce. In just 1 month, 4,300 jobs disappeared. Not numbers on a spreadsheet, but real lives disrupted, rent payments missed, and families forced into painful decisions about food, utilities, and survival. For thousands of workers, the job that once symbolized stability and the promise of the American dream has turned into nothing more than a gamble they can no longer win. Casino employees who spent years serving drinks, cleaning hotel rooms, or dealing cards now find themselves on-call status waiting by their phones for shifts that may never come. Some go entire weeks without being called in their paychecks, shrinking to the point where even groceries become a luxury. For those who do manage to work, the pain hasn't lessened. The tip income they once relied on has fallen by 30% to 50%, as fewer guests mean fewer hands reaching for their wallets. A cocktail server summed it up with devastating honesty. The bills keep piling up, and I don't know where my family's next meal will come from anymore. The closures have hit hardest at places that were once community anchors. The Poker Palace, a North Las Vegas fixture since 1974, recently shut its doors, taking with it more than 120 jobs and decades of local memory. For longtime employees, it was more than a paycheck. It was a piece of identity ripped away in a single press release, announcing that the property had been transferred to Truckee Gaming LLC. While the company's restructuring may protect executives and investors, the people who ran the tables and cooked the meals were left holding nothing but pink slips. This divide between corporate survival and worker collapse has become the defining feature of Vegas's new reality. CEOs proudly boast of saving billions of dollars through restructuring, consolidation, and automation, but those savings come at the expense of the very people who once made the Strip sparkle. To outsiders, the city still shines with neon brilliance. To those inside, the light has gone out. The ripple effects are unavoidable. Every job lost isn't just a single paycheck gone, it's a family forced into crisis. Utility bills are recalculated, grocery lists are slashed, and mortgage payments are missed. Some workers have been forced to give up financed cars overnight, turning them from symbols of success into repossessed burdens. Others now ration meals, stretching what used to be a week's worth of food into 2, often going hungry themselves so their children can eat. For service workers, the despair is compounded by the knowledge that they helped build the city's global reputation. They were the ones who kept drinks flowing at 3 a.m., who made sure rooms sparkled before guests arrived, who filled the Strip with life even when the desert outside baked at 115 degrees. Now, those very workers are treated as expendable, another line item cut in the relentless drive to protect profits. The American dream, once advertised on billboards as something you could win with a lucky hand, has been reduced to a cruel paradox. The more money corporations save, the less ordinary people have to live on. In Las Vegas, the winners and losers are no longer decided at the roulette table. They're decided in boardrooms, where executives sit comfortably, while the workers who carried the city's weight are pushed closer to the edge of homelessness every single day. And for thousands of families, that edge is no longer theoretical. It's the very next chapter of this unfolding nightmare. If job losses were the first crack in Las Vegas's glittering facade, the surge in homelessness is the collapse now spilling out onto the Strip itself. According to the Southern Nevada Homeless Continuum of Care, as of early 2025, Clark County recorded nearly 8,000 homeless individuals. But anyone walking down Las Vegas Boulevard knows that number is an understatement. Beyond the official counts are those sleeping in broken-down cars, drainage tunnels, or beneath highway overpasses, people who once worked in the very casinos now trying to chase them off their doorsteps. The irony is brutal. In a city with over 150,000 hotel rooms, thousands cannot find a safe place to rest. Families who once cleaned those rooms or served guests at the buffet now huddle together in makeshift camps built from wooden pallets, tarps, and scrap metal, their fragile shelters baking under the relentless 115-degree desert sun, just steps away from multi-million-dollar roulette tables and luxury suites. Lines of tents stretch across sidewalks, transforming the entertainment capital of the world into a glaring contradiction. Neon light on one side, human despair on the other. The human stories behind the statistics are heartbreaking. A single mother who used to clean hotel rooms is now raising her children in a tent near Tropicana Avenue. A shuttle bus driver who ferried tourists from the airport now sleeps in his van after losing his job and falling behind on payments. A veteran who once believed his country would never abandon him now wonders if he'll survive the night on the Strip. These are not strangers drifting into the city, they are the very people who once kept Las Vegas alive. The visibility of the crisis is reshaping the city's image in real time. On platforms like TripAdvisor and Yelp reviews, complain of aggressive panhandling, the stench of waste, and fights breaking out over sleeping space in areas once filled with tourists snapping photos. One traveler wrote bluntly, "I couldn't enjoy my vacation. The atmosphere was chaotic. The Strip felt unsafe, and I left early." Even major resorts such as the Flamingo and the Luxor have been forced to increase security budgets and issue warnings advising guests not to walk outside after 10 p.m. For small business owners, the crisis cuts even deeper. Restaurant and souvenir shop owners on the Strip report their revenues have dropped by more than half since tent camps appeared nearby. One shopkeeper admitted with chilling honesty, customers see the tents and keep walking. "If this continues one day, I might end up in those tents myself." The spiral is merciless. More people on the streets drives tourists away. Fewer tourists hurt businesses, and weakened businesses lay off more employees who then join the homeless. Homelessness in Vegas is no longer confined to neglected corners of downtown. It is spreading like wildfire across the most visible and lucrative stretch of real estate in America. The Strip, once marketed as an oasis of luxury and escape, now doubles as a stage for one of the fastest-growing humanitarian crises in the country. In just 3 years, homelessness has surged by 56%, and the city's own tourism managers admit the problem is out of control. This is not just an eyesore, it's a vortex that threatens the entire economic foundation of Las Vegas. When tourists can no longer separate the fantasy from the reality, when the neon dream is interrupted by images of families in tents, the illusion shatters. And in a city built entirely on illusion, once that shattering begins, it's almost impossible to stop. The Strip's lights still burn, but in their shadows, an army of forgotten workers struggles to survive. What began as empty casinos and lost jobs has now spilled onto the sidewalks as a homeless crisis at the heart of America's playground. And the next chapter will show that when despair grows unchecked, the danger doesn't just remain in the shadows, it begins to reshape the very streets themselves. As the number of homeless camps swelled across Las Vegas, another shadow began to stretch over the city crime. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, Nevada saw a 7% increase in serious violent crimes in 2023, a figure that analysts directly connect to the city's collapsing tourism economy and the desperation of those left behind. Once the Strip was a place where tourists felt untouchable, insulated by lights, crowds, and cameras. Now, the same avenues that once promised safety feel more like unpoliced battlegrounds. The link is clear. When workers lose their jobs, their homes, and their hope, the risk of petty theft, conflict, and violence skyrockets. Residents of North Las Vegas say they no longer feel comfortable walking the streets after dark. One small shop owner explained that he closes his doors hours earlier than before because of fights breaking out nearby. The evening buzz of neighborhood diners and grocery stores has been replaced by a heavy silence broken only by the occasional siren or shouting match spilling from the sidewalks. The impact on tourism has been immediate and brutal. Travel sites are littered with reviews from shaken visitors who describe being harassed on the Strip, witnessing fistfights near bus stops, or feeling unsafe even inside crowded areas. Tourists don't just avoid dangerous corners, they avoid the city altogether. For a place like Las Vegas, where image is everything, this reputational damage may be more destructive than the economic collapse itself. Social scientists warn that crime in Las Vegas is not simply a matter of statistics, it is the visible symptom of a deeper social breakdown. Communities once bound together by steady employment and shared prosperity are now fracturing under the weight of poverty. Longtime residents speak of neighbors disappearing, overnight families abandoning apartments, and once bustling blocks becoming ghost towns. The fear is contagious. Locals stay indoors, tourists cancel trips, and small businesses see fewer customers with each passing month. At the same time, rumors and unverified reports spread like wildfire. Stories of tent camps doubling as drug markets or breeding grounds for violence unsettle both locals and tourists, regardless of their accuracy. In a city already struggling to hold on to its identity, perception is just as damaging as reality. The municipal government has attempted to respond by deploying additional police patrols and security checkpoints, but these measures only treat the symptoms, not the disease. The deeper issue lies in trust between residents and their city, between tourists and the illusion they were promised, between employers and the workers who once carried them to record profits. When trust erodes, fear takes its place. And in Las Vegas, fear spreads quickly. Every headline about a stabbing, every viral clip of a fight on Fremont Street, every review warning of danger chips away at the carefully constructed fantasy that has kept Sin City alive for decades. The cycle has become dangerously predictable. Poverty fuels insecurity. Insecurity drives away tourism. Without tourism, jobs vanish. Without jobs, poverty grows deeper. Each turn of the cycle tightens the spiral, pulling Las Vegas further into crisis. What once felt like an entertainment paradise now teeters on the edge of becoming something closer to a cautionary tale, a city where glamour gave way to fear, and where the night no longer feels safe even under neon light. If Las Vegas, the city that never sleeps, is now struggling just to keep its streets secure, what hope remains for smaller communities across America? The next chapter doesn't just ask whether Vegas can survive, it asks whether the American dream itself can endure in a place where despair has already rewritten the rules. When locals and analysts now whisper about Las Vegas as the Detroit of the West, it isn't just a cheap insult, it's a chilling comparison. Detroit was once the pride of American industry, the world's undisputed automotive capital. At its peak in the mid-20th century, the city had nearly 1.8 million residents and was a global symbol of prosperity. But Detroit built its identity on one pillar alone, the auto industry. And when that industry collapsed under the weight of globalization, automation, and poor planning, the city lost more than jobs. It lost its soul. By 2020, Detroit's population had plummeted by over 60%, leaving behind neighborhoods of abandoned homes, shuttered factories, and a reputation for despair that has taken decades to repair. Las Vegas stands on a similar precipice. Instead of cars, its single pillar is tourism and entertainment. Nearly every industry in the valley, from restaurants to taxis, from retail shops to local real estate, relies on the steady pulse of visitors pouring into casinos. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median income of service sector households in Las Vegas dropped by nearly 6% between 2021 and 2024. For a community that depends on each shift, each tip, and each overtime hour, that decline is more than a statistic, it's a knife cutting into daily survival. The risk is obvious when a city builds itself around one industry. A single downturn can start a landslide. Empty casinos don't just mean lost wagers, they mean fewer taxis running from the airport, fewer diners buying midnight meals, fewer tourists shopping in local stores. Every layer of the economy falls together, and suddenly, the once unshakable foundation begins to look as fragile as glass. The warning signs are everywhere. Streets that used to buzz with nightlife now sit eerily quiet. Entire neighborhoods once fueled by casino worker paychecks are struggling to keep grocery stores and schools open. For many residents, the comparison to Detroit isn't just about economics, it's about identity. Detroit was once called the Motor City, but that name became a tragic relic of a past that no longer existed. Will Las Vegas face the same fate, its glittering nickname Sin City, remembered only as a hollow echo of neon dreams that went dark? Yet, amid the gloom, there are whispers of hope. Some major corporations are trying to rewrite the city's story by planting new industries in Nevada. Amazon has expanded its logistics network here, promising thousands of warehouse and distribution jobs. Tesla's Gigafactory near Reno has turned northern Nevada into a hub for clean energy and battery production, hinting at the possibility of a technology corridor stretching across the desert. These projects won't replace the billions generated by casinos overnight, but they signal a future where Las Vegas might not be chained so tightly to a single roll of the dice. The challenge is whether the city can learn Detroit's painful lesson before it's too late. Detroit ignored its overdependence until the collapse had already consumed it. Las Vegas still has a chance to pivot, but that chance narrows with each passing month of layoffs, closures, and abandoned dreams. If diversification doesn't take root now, the Strip's neon might still glow for tourists, but underneath the surface, the city itself will be hollowed out. The question is no longer whether Las Vegas is vulnerable. The question is whether it has the courage to rebuild itself before the spiral becomes irreversible. Because if a city built to challenge the desert can fall victim to its own one-dimensional model, then the nickname, Detroit of the West, won't be a warning anymore. It will be reality. The question haunting Las Vegas today is not just about survival, but about reinvention. Can a city built entirely on tourism, casinos, and entertainment diversify fast enough to avoid the fate of Detroit? The short-term fixes are already visible. Some hotels have quietly begun waiving resort fees, a charge once defended as untouchable. Others are experimenting with discounted room rates and package deals to lure back the middle-class travelers who made Vegas famous. Security patrols have been stepped up on the Strip, and city officials are scrambling to control the optics of homelessness by relocating camps further from tourist hotspots. But these measures are band-aids, at best temporary distractions in a city facing a structural collapse. The deeper solution lies in broadening the economic base. According to a 2023 Brookings Institution report, Nevada invests less than 0.5% of its GDP in research and development, one of the lowest levels in the nation. That statistic reveals both a vulnerability and an opportunity. For decades, Las Vegas has relied on its image as a playground, but the city also has assets that could attract industries far removed from gambling, a young workforce, cheap land compared to coastal cities, and a strategic location linking the western United States to Mexico and Asia. Some companies have already noticed. Google recently announced expansions to its Nevada data centers, promising thousands of high-tech jobs that could anchor the state's future. Amazon's logistics hubs are scaling up operations, offering a steady flow of employment that doesn't depend on blackjack tables or roulette wheels. Beyond logistics and technology, there is untapped potential for renewable energy. With vast open deserts and abundant sunshine, Nevada could position itself as a leader in solar power production, fueling both local needs and exports to other states. At the community level, addressing the housing crisis must come alongside economic reform. The housing-first approach, which provides shelter before tackling other social issues, has proven effective in cities like Salt Lake City, which dramatically reduced its homeless population with this strategy. If Las Vegas embraces similar initiatives, partnering with private developers, leveraging unused land, and using public-private funds, it can prevent thousands more workers from falling into the cycle of tents and despair. But reinvention requires more than infrastructure. It requires vision. For too long, Las Vegas has marketed itself as an illusion, a place where reality was suspended and money could buy dreams. That illusion may no longer be enough. To truly reinvent itself, the city must send a new message to the world. Las Vegas is not just about gambling. It is about innovation, resilience, and opportunity. That means shifting from roulette tables to research labs, from slot machines to startups, from neon illusions to sustainable industries that can carry the city into the next century. The danger is that change often comes too slowly in cities that have grown comfortable in their identity. Detroit clung to cars until the factories fell silent. Will Las Vegas cling to casinos until the neon burns out? The pieces for reinvention are already on the table. Technology, logistics, renewable energy, housing reform. But the city must decide whether to roll the dice on its future or keep playing a game it's already losing. For Vegas, the stakes couldn't be higher. Reinvention isn't just an option, it's survival. The city can continue chasing whales while ignoring the middle class, or it can build a foundation broad enough to withstand the next crisis. Because if it doesn't, the Detroit of the West won't be a warning. It will be a prophecy fulfilled. Las Vegas has always sold itself as a city of second chances, a place where fortunes could be remade overnight and where failure was only one spin away from redemption. But in 2025, the illusion has cracked wide open. Empty casinos, shuttered hotels, 4,300 lost jobs, and nearly 8,000 people forced into homelessness are no longer background statistics. They are the new reality of a city once branded as untouchable. The nightmare spiral isn't just about dollars lost at blackjack tables. It's about the families left behind, the communities unraveling, and the growing fear that America's entertainment capital has become its latest cautionary tale. The comparison to Detroit is more than a metaphor, it is a warning. A city that relies on a single industry is always one downturn away from disaster. Detroit failed to diversify until it was too late, leaving ruins where opportunity once thrived. Las Vegas still has a chance, but only if it dares to pivot, investing in technology, logistics, renewable energy, and affordable housing to build a stronger foundation than neon illusions can ever provide. The story of Las Vegas is not yet finished. Like New York in the 1970s, which clawed its way back from near bankruptcy, Vegas may still find a way to rewrite its ending. But the clock is ticking. Will this city become the next comeback story of America? Or will it go down in history as another symbol of dreams that collapsed under their own weight? That answer depends not only on Vegas itself, but on how the nation responds to the cracks now visible in one of its most iconic cities. Because if the paradise of the desert can fall, the question becomes which American dream will fade next.